What is up, guys? It's me, the ALD Double X Prince, and it has been 10 years since CM Punk's Pipe Bomb, the most iconic promo in the modern day era. And I gotta be honest, over time, it seems like a lot of people are claiming it to be one of the greatest promos of all time. And I'll say this, it did change the landscape, it did change the way people saw wrestling, it definitely broke kayfabe for once. So it did some good. It also did some bad, and I'll get to some of the stuff that I will say. But let me just start off by saying that I think the pipe bomb was a good thing if someone had to say it, and I'm gladly enough it was CM Punk. He someone who was going to break the brass ceiling, like who was going to break through. Who was it going to be? And luckily enough, it had to be CM Punk, and it was crazy because the reason why this one stuck out more than most promos is because CM Punk was out the door. He was literally not gonna sign, and they gave him a WWE title opportunity for him to sign. And the story was, yeah, I'm going to talk a lot of shit as I go. And not only that, I am leaving with the WWE Championship. This was real, and it was like, oh my goodness, what is going to happen? And this was the night where CM Punk just sat down and cut that promo, sitting crisscross in Las Vegas after our Truth put John Cena through a table. So yes, our Truth beat John Cena in a match. Granted, it wasn't clean because no one ever beats John Cena clean. So the match is there, and it's after the match, CM Punk sits down in a Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirt nonetheless, and he mentions that he talks about how he doesn't hate John Cena. He likes John Cena. He likes him way more than most people in the backstage locker room because I believe that. I don't think John Cena is necessarily a bad dude. He is the top merch seller and he helps and motivate people. Like I'm pretty sure John Cena was there's things called locker room leaders. A lot of people in the WWF were that. Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, The Rock, what's his face? Right now, Roman Reigns. So like, it's good to have some locker room leaders, and John Cena was a great locker room leader. It's just that he's just been at the top for so long. Like they just booked this guy like to the moon. To this day, he has held more WWE championships than anybody ever did. So, um, anyways, as that was going on, um, so, um, it just like there was a lot of kiss ass people in the WWE. Like Hogan was definitely the biggest kiss ass. A lot of people hate to admit it, but Shawn Michaels was a bit of a kiss ass, and he was a piece of shit back in the '90s. That's just the honest truth. No one likes to admit it, but and Shawn Michaels does admit, like, yeah, I was a horrible person in the '90s, and I grew out of it. I became a born again Christian. John Cena, like I said, is not a bad dude. It's just that he was just at the top for so long. He's just and everything. It's just like no one ever got another chance because we wanted to see. Don't get me wrong, we wanted John Cena at the top. He was the big merch seller. It's just like who else is a big merch seller? And no one really stuck out. Like Batista left, Edge retired, Triple H became a part timer. The Undertaker wasn't around as much. Shawn Michaels retired, and the only other person left was Randy Orton. But Randy Orton was who was over. It's just that he just kind of like he was injury prone. He was not the nicest person to deal with. He still to this day isn't. So naturally, like John Cena's the top guy, and they tried to make other people the top stars. Guerrero, Benoit, Jeff Hardy, Chris Jericho, but I'll admit, partially it does have to be fault of WWE for Jericho. I'll say that. I will say that they are to blame for like why Jericho wasn't the top star in a way. But we understand Guerrero and Benoit they passed away. Jeff Hardy had substance abuse, and CM Punk was doing everything right. So naturally, it's like, okay, I'm doing everything right. Why am I not in the main event of WrestleMania? Why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing that? And uh, to their credit, CM Punk deserved the main event of WrestleMania, bar none. He basically carried 2012, like prior to like this. 2011, he got people talking. 2012, he was the top seller. He was everything. He did everything. Like he even turned heel. He took the belt. They took the belt off of him to give it to The Rock. He did everything, and nothing came about it. But the biggest thing is that he even said like, yeah, I'm leaving, and what's gonna happen? People are gonna still watch wrestling and still watch WWE. There's no other wrestling company, and I agree. No one ever leaves WWE. How many of us complain about the WWE and we still watch? All of us. So like, fuck. Wrestling Jesus was popular for taking off his wrestling channels and coming back like 2 weeks later, and it was just like too much, and it's just like it doesn't matter what people do. It's just like no other company will ever top WWE. TNA tried, Lucha Underground tried, AEW. Say what you will, they are the closest thing to ever have like a real legit competition with the WWE. However, they do have some issues. That could be a whole separate video for another time, but it's just it's just sad to know that like you know he said something that really stuck out, and it's the very final thing he said, that maybe this company will be better after Vince McMahon's dead, but the fact is that it'll still be run by Stephanie and Triple H. Now, Triple H has proven himself that he could run a show. He does lack, uh, you know, keeping people irrelevant, because like the problem with Triple H is that no one will ever be the top player for a good while. Like, and he does have a bit of an ego. Like, there's a reason why Kurt Angle was booked to shit, because deep down, even Triple H didn't like him. But here's the catch with Triple H, and I have a huge heart for Triple H, but here's the problem: no one will ever be his top guy. Like the closest we got him is Seth Rollins, but with the whole land of opportunity, I like SmackDown between 2016 to 2018, but this whole land of opportunity shit really told us like, yeah, anybody could be the world champion, anyone could do anything, and it doesn't matter because yeah. But guess what? They're gonna lose that world title, and then they're gonna go right back down the mid card. Look at AJ Styles from 2016 to 2018. He was the top player. He was in the main event of every show. He was the WWE champion. He carried SmackDown for 3 years straight. And then now look at him. He's in a tag team with almost a guy who will probably not be relevant 10 years from now. I'm just calling it like it is, but it's just sad that people can never stay on top. AJ Styles should be in the world title picture right now. Maybe not be the champion, but he deserves to be in that title picture, because once you're in the world title picture, you should stay there. And no one seems to do it. And back to CM Punk, everybody has seemed to forget that. And you know, CM Punk helped a lot of people. Danny Bryan in particularly. If he didn't leave in 2014, WrestleMania 30 would have been a disaster. But they said nope. Danny Bryan deserves his spotlight, and you can't take it away from him. And sure enough, Danny Bryan got his spotlight. He got his big moment. It was fantastic. And it's just the crazy things that like, and I hate this about WWE and even professional wrestling, period. But what happened to being the world champion and staying there? Like Seth Rollins was the WWE, a two-time WWE champion. Um, he fought Triple H and beat him, and then the following year he's in the IC title picture. Why can't he stay like in a big marquee match? Like, don't get me wrong, he was a great IC champion, but come on, like he should have been like the one facing Brock Lesnar, not Roman Reigns. Not and Roman Reigns should have been in another picture. Like imagine at the time we all thought that Roman Reigns retired the Undertaker. Naturally, he's gonna turn heel and he's gonna become world heavyweight champion. Instead, they turned him babyface. He got his ass kicked constantly, and he went after the IC title, and he beat the Miz of all people. And it's just like so sloppily done. It's just because they rely so much on building up all these guys that you just forget to like have your division. And this is the one thing I don't like about the whole pipe bomb, because this without the pipe bomb this wouldn't have happened. But ever since, like everybody is just like want to be at the main event. Like I want Cesaro to be a world champion someday. People say not, maybe not now, but here's the thing: he has yet to be an IC champion. He has yet to have a legit singles run as a mid carder. You just want to put him at the world title picture right away, and then what happens? He's gonna lose that belt, and then he's gonna go right back down to catering. Look at Mahal, Nakamura, Rusev. Like all of these guys cannot stay on top, and that is the biggest problem. That is fault of WWE, but at the same time, it's like ever since this promo was cut, it's all about, oh, let's push this guy. Like the WWE universe is begging for it. And then they don't know what to do because they're not really selling. And here's the thing: there's casual fans and there's uh the long-term fans. The long-term fans can tell you like all day long, like they want this person, they want that person. But sometimes, and I am to blame of this, we lack realizing who is a legit top merch seller. Like who is the one bringing the big bucks? Who is the one that's selling the most? Like, example, Kenny Omega should not be facing Jungle Boy. Um, you should put him up with like top tier talents like that are also merch sellers. Christian Cage. I mean, it made sense that they put Orange Cassidy. He was a top seller, but that's a whole different story. The point that I'm saying is that casual fans lack on seeing who are the legit like mega stars. They just focus on who has the coolest moves, who has the coolest style now, and lack on who is gonna run this business 5, 10 years from now. It took forever, but Roman Reigns, they finally appreciate Roman Reigns. We all appreciate Roman Reigns now. But back then, we didn't see it because we lacked knowing how to bring him to the top. And that is WWE's fault. They're like, okay, here's who we want to push. But instead of working your way up there, you push him right away to the top, him or her. Like, and that is a big issue. That's why nobody likes Charlotte Flair, because she's booked like John Cena. I'm pretty sure the women in the locker room don't hate Charlotte, but they just hate how she's constantly getting opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And it's all about giving everybody a chance to be there. And I think that is the one thing that we can learn is that we need a structure. We need your main eventers, your mid cutters, your undercard, your tag team division, your women's division, and you need your jobbers. You know what happened to being a jobber? Nobody wants to be a jobber anymore. That is the biggest thing. Nobody wants to be a jobber. I remember like jobbers used to like suck it up and do it. Like the last great jobber we had today was James Ellsworth. Now they pushed him a little too much, I'll admit, but he did his job of like just being the one getting jobbed out to everybody, and that is like what I think was the issues with the pipelines, that now everybody wants to be at the top. That is a big issue. Nobody. It's like a movie. Not everybody is the main star of the movie. Uh, let's say there's a movie starring Julia Roberts, Robert De Niro, Sylvester Stallone, Al Pacino, and Anne Hathaway. Not all of those guys are gonna be in every scene of the movie. You have to structure who's gonna do what in the movie. And it's the same thing with this. And I think the problem is that people do need to break, and they need to try to get better. Like, even in football, people play, let's say, this will never happen, but let's say the San Diego Chargers win 9 games in a row. So naturally, they should be at a higher range. Instead, they're like just not doing anything with them because they forget about them. It's stupid, and that's not what should be happening. CM Punk, up to that point, he carried ECW on his back. He won Money in a Bank twice. He basically had the best storyline with Jeff Hardy. Um, and naturally, he deserves a bigger, higher spot. And instead, he was just back down the card, and it's just not fair. Like, how many times is this guy's career gonna go back and forth? And that was the point that he was telling everybody. And it seems nowadays that everybody's trying to mimic the pipe bomb. Kevin Owens, Mustafa Ali, um, many other people. But it's all about what else can you bring to the table. Um, it's kind of something I feel that wrestlers are hearing something and going like, "Yeah, CM Punk said this, so I should be at the top." And instead of, you know, saying stuff for themselves, they take CM Punk's words like, how cool would it be if Finn Balor stood up to Vince? How cool would it have been if Ricochet stood up to Vince? All of these other top tier talents. That is why Kevin Owens still stays relevant, because at least he doesn't take shit from anybody. Um, AJ Styles, he is a great seller. He is a big merch seller, but he also won't take shit from anybody. Same could be said about Daniel Bryan. Um, so the point that I'm trying to say is that WWE needs to get better at building their stars instead of just having a shit ton of stars that they don't know how to use. But at the same time, wrestlers need to stick up for themselves and not just follow what somebody else said 10 years ago. That's just my personal take on it. It's me, the ALE Double X Prince. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And until then, I'm out.